Now, we've all encountered them, those cartoon characters who take entitlement to a whole nother level. They're loud, dramatic, and impossible to ignore. But they're not your typical villains or heroes. They're something much worse. They're the Karens of the animated world. From creating unnecessary chaos to making everything revolve around them, these characters always manage to turn every situation into a scene. Well, today we're looking at the worst cartoon Karens and their most cringe-worthy moments. First up is Sheila Broflovsky, or Kyle's mom from South Park. Sheila takes the crown when it comes to cartoon Karens. She's loud, entitled, and always on a mission to shut down anything she deems inappropriate. She really goes overboard with everything. Do you remember her ridiculous campaign against the Terrence and Phillip movie in South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut? Instead of choosing not to watch the film like any reasonable person should, Sheila decides to lead the Mothers Against Canada movement. Funny thing is that her son Ike is Canadian. What's even crazier, she somehow turns this little moral outrage into an all-out war between the US and Canada. Yeah, you heard that right. A war over a fart joke movie. Honestly, that's next-level Karen behavior. Pushing her agenda on everyone else is what Kyle's mom does best. In the infamous Blame Canada episode, she rallies a crowd with her righteous anger, refusing to acknowledge that maybe not everyone shares her opinion. Instead of minding her own damn business, Sheila decides that everyone must live by her rules, and she won't stop until the entire country does things her way. It's almost comical how far she's willing to go to control the situation. Sheila's obsession with making sure others follow her personal moral code, combined with her dramatic public outbursts, makes her unbearable. She's not just a concerned mom, she's a walking disaster who can't let anyone have fun unless it aligns with her worldview. If starting a literal war doesn't scream Karen, I don't know what does. Next up is Jane Kangaroo from Horton Hears a Who. Jane's completely obsessed with keeping things in order, but in reality, she always wants everyone else to fall in line with her views. She believes that she knows what's best, not just for her, but for everybody around her. When Horton insists that he can hear the Who's, Jane doesn't even pause to consider that he might be telling the truth. However, she flat out dismisses him and makes it her mission to enforce her view on the entire jungle. Classic Karen move, right? Her stubbornness in the face of evidence is such a Karen move, and it's painfully obvious in scenes like when she tries to rally the jungle against Horton. At one point, she even hired Vlad Vladikov, an eagle, to steal Horton's clover, which happened to be the Who's home. Seriously, Jane? Was that even necessary? Horton wasn't hurting anyone by believing in the Who's, but Jane just can't handle the fact that someone else believes something she doesn't. So she decides to weaponize an eagle to make sure things go her way. She's convinced that maintaining her version of reality is more important than anything else, even if it means terrorizing Horton. Talk about a Karen move, huh? Moving on, we've got Helen Lovejoy from The Simpsons. The Reverend's wife fits the Karen mold perfectly with her constant meddling in other people's business. Helen is the resident busybody and moral authority in Springfield, and she's always quick to judge her neighbors. Who could forget her infamous catchphrase, "Won't somebody please think of the children?" She pulls that line every time she wants to police someone's behavior, and it's usually over the most insignificant things. In the episode March vs. the Monorail, Helen is in front and center stirring up panic at a town meeting, and while she's acting like she's concerned about the community, it's really just her way of inserting herself into the conversation. Helen's meddling doesn't stop at town meetings though. She thrives on stirring up drama in Springfield, particularly by gossiping about her own neighbors. One of her worst offenses has to be the time she led the charge against bear sightings in Much Ado About Nothing. Instead of handling the situation rationally, Helen escalates things into full-blown moral panic, turning the entire town against a poor, harmless bear. Her holier-than-thou attitude and constant need to be the moral police makes her one of the most infuriating cartoon Karens. Next on the list is Gladys Sharp from Over the Hedge. Gladys takes the Homeowners Association president role to a whole new level. She's the queen of suburban Karens. Obsessed with keeping her neighborhood clean, Gladys will go to any length to enforce her vision of order. When the local wildlife starts scavenging food in the local neighborhood, Gladys freaks out. Instead of addressing the issue calmly, like maybe setting up a few deterrents, she hires a professional exterminator. And it's not just any exterminator. Gladys installs a terrifying Depelter turbo trap, a device that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie, not a suburban lawn. Remember the time she tried to bulldoze the animals' habitat in order to get them out of the neighborhood? Her sense of entitlement is staggering. She truly believes that her perfect little world should be maintained at all costs, even if it means harming the environment and the animals living in it. Gladys's lack of empathy and obsession with controlling everything around her makes her the ultimate suburban Karen. Now let's not forget Candace Flynn from Phineas and Ferb. She might still be a teen, but her Karen behavior is hard to miss. Candace is absolutely obsessed with busting her brothers Phineas and Ferb for their elaborate and frankly awesome inventions. It doesn't matter if they're building a roller coaster or heading into outer space, Candace always has to report them to her mom immediately. And when her mom doesn't believe her, she gets dramatic meltdowns that are just unbelievable. It's almost exhausting to watch how hard she works to ruin her brother's fun. Remember when she finally succeeded in busting them in the episode Phineas and Ferb Get Busted? Well, she only ends up watching things spiral out of control when her brothers are sent to a reform camp. Sure, by the end she realizes she's gone too far, but that doesn't stop her from going right back to trying to catch them the next day. Her need for control and validation combined with her dramatic freakouts when things don't go her way make her one of the most exhausting cartoon Karens. No matter how harmless Phineas and Ferb's projects are, Candace is always determined to ruin the fun just to prove her point. Even the world of kids shows isn't safe from Karens. We're talking about D.W. Reed from Arthur. Even as a kid, D.W. has serious Karen tendencies. D.W.'s sense of self-importance is off the charts. She genuinely believes the world revolves around her, and heaven help anyone who suggests otherwise. This pint-sized pain in the ass is entitled, bossy, and loves telling on her older brother Arthur whenever things don't go her way. In the episode Arthur's Big Hit, D.W. spends the entire time messing with Arthur's model airplane, and when Arthur finally loses his patience and retaliates, she immediately runs to their parents playing the victim. Classic Karen behavior. Starts the problem, then play the victim when things blow up. D.W. also has a habit of throwing tantrums whenever something doesn't go her way. In D.W.'s very bad mood, she spends the entire episode whining because she's not getting what she wants. Talk about red flags. She's surely the kind of kid who would demand to speak to the manager of a lemonade stand. D.W.'s exaggerated reactions to minor issues make her one of the most annoying characters on the show. And it's clear that if she doesn't change her ways, she's going to grow into a full-blown Karen in no time. And finally, we've got Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold! Helga's tough exterior and bullying behavior masks her insecurities, but that doesn't make her any less of a Karen. Her obsession with controlling those around her, especially Arnold, is a major part of her character. She constantly bullies Arnold without him doing anything. She does it simply because she can't handle her own emotions. Helga uses intimidation and manipulation to get her way and always has dramatic outbursts when things don't go as planned. Talk about classic Karen behavior, right? Her sense of superiority is evident in how she treats others, particularly Arnold, whom she secretly loves but bullies always. In the episode Helga Blabs It All, Helga accidentally reveals her feelings for Arnold. However, she spends the rest of the episode trying to manipulate everyone to cover it up. Her need to control him while hiding her true feelings leads to unnecessary drama. And her hypocrisy in criticizing others while concealing her vulnerabilities makes her even more frustrating. She literally wants to dominate every situation, even if it means hurting others. Helga's exaggerated reactions and manipulative behavior make her a good example of a Karen in the making. There you have it, guys. My pick for the worst cartoon Karens. Who brings chaos and drama to the screen? Who's your worst cartoon Karen? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.